My name is Serena Loren. I'm from New York originally. I live in Connecticut currently. I am an IFBB Bikini Pro bodybuilder now. It's kind of crazy. It just pretty much happened like overnight practically. I did my first NPC show this past summer in June, kind of just like as a for fun thing. I really wanted to see what I was capable of, as an athlete. And I did really well. I took first place novice, first place true novice, and then I took first place overall in my class. And then I took second place in open. So that all qualified me for a national show, which I ended up doing 2 weeks later and took second out of 400 girls and won my pro card. And it was just such a whirlwind of an experience. And I still can't even believe like any of that even happened, to be completely honest with you. I think it's awesome. I'm super stoked on it. And now I'm like, okay, like now we're training for, my pro debut sometime next year. But I really just got so taken into this industry by storm. Like I did not expect any of that to happen at all whatsoever. And it did. And I was like, holy crap. Like, all right, so this is happening. Like, I think we found our purpose. We found our thing, and here we are. I mean, it's just honestly, it all just literally happened like that. So it's just crazy.
It's cool to, like you said, find that passion. A lot of people go through life and they look for it maybe for a while and they don't find it and they just stop and they kind of start doing whatever everybody else is doing or something. And it's kind of sad to think that. Where did bodybuilding, like what led you into this bodybuilding world?
Well, okay. So my younger sister actually, she's my best friend and she competes Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So last year I had started going to a lot of her competitions and I just got like super inspired, like seeing all of these athletes compete and the camaraderie, the support, the love, the motivation. It just was so like inspiring. And I was training at the time. I wasn't like training as a bodybuilder. I was, just lifting and exercising, whatever. No real like purpose behind it. Just endorphins, feel good, be healthy. Um, but then like after going to her competitions, I was like, I want to compete. Like I want to do something where there's like a goal and there's something like I could win potentially. Like I really wanted something structured that I had to work towards that would take my athleticism like to the next level. And I did a little bit of exploring with like powerlifting and like the Olympic, that type of stuff. Just didn't really totally resonate with me. And then, I found the bodybuilding, the bikini stuff, and I was like, I want to try that. Like that seems so my speed. So I just did a little research, found a team, got a coach, and that was November of last year, 2021. So 8 months later, I turned pro. It's just crazy.
Yeah, that is just, it's insane to think.
Insane.
What along obviously this short journey, like what has been for you? I mean, even having success in anything, you're going to have some type of, setbacks and things like that, challenges. What has been some of the most challenging aspects for you? I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Let's Get Checked. They're a worldwide leader in at-home testing kits, so you can get a complete look at your levels without leaving your home. Getting your hormones tested is extremely important when it comes to overall health, general fitness, and performance. You can order a testing kit that will be delivered to you in discreet packaging. Once your sample arrives in the laboratory, confidential results will be available from your secure online account within 2 to 5 days. These results are reviewed by a clinician, and a member of the Let's Get Checked nursing team may call you to review your results. Don't neglect your health and fitness. Check out Let's Get Checked at trylgc.com/theweightroom and save 25%. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break here just for a second. Let me tell you about Smoking Gun Coffee. They're a veteran-owned coffee company that strives to produce a quality coffee at an affordable price. They only buy coffee from small coffee farmers around the world with a cup score of at least 85. Each batch is roasted to order for maximum freshness.
They also donate a large portion of their proceeds to organizations that help local communities, veterans, first responders, or you can donate to the foundation of your choice at the checkout by going to www.smokingguncoffee.com. That's SMOKIN Gun Coffee. When it comes to science-backed supplements that taste great, 2NS is your one-stop shop. They truly maximize quality by making their own supplements in-house. With over a combined 90 years of experience, 2NS's team of industry experts has a commitment to research, quality, development, and innovation. The body is sacred, so give it the best. Check out all 2NS has to offer at secondnaturesupplements.com. That's 2ndnaturesupplements.com.
Well, there's been many. The whole entire thing is extremely challenging. It definitely sets you way, way apart from people. I think that was the most challenging thing, was it became very isolating. And even things with my family, I couldn't do certain things, certain holiday meals that I couldn't really enjoy so much. I would enjoy them a little bit, but once like prep came around, like that's when things got really real and really hard. Your social life kind of goes down to nothing, going to bed really early. So I think for me, the most challenging part was just like how isolating it really does get. And on top of that, it's so mental. Like you really have to put your mental fortitude to the test, because it really tries your discipline. Like you're hungry and you're tired and you're like borderline like hangry, cranky. So it was very challenging. I can't even really begin to list all of the challenges. And then like coming out of prep, I think was the hardest part about it. Like reverse dieting, that has been like, because I'm still technically reversing right now. And that's been, I think, in my opinion, more challenging than prep, 100%.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
a lot of people will say how challenging and hard it is. But is it I guess the mental aspect of it that makes it so challenging?
It's both, really. I mean, it's the physical and the mental, because physically, you're extremely low energy. Like I said, you're like a little cranky, irritable, I should say. But it's mostly mental, I would have to say, because the tiredness and like the low energy, it's like, all right, like you're almost there. That's just like really the last week. For me, at least, it was just peak week where I was like super, super exhausted. I know some girls, they've had really, really bad preps. Like they're like way more exhausted weeks earlier than I was. But yeah, I don't know. I think you're right. I think it definitely the mental side of it, because you have like the devil on one shoulder, then you have the angel on one shoulder. The devil's like, just have like one scoop of peanut butter, just one scoop of peanut butter, you'll be fine. And then the angel was like, no, don't do it. And it's crazy. Will I do it again? Yes, 100%. But it is so freaking hard. It's definitely not for everybody. And I could understand why people, quit. They do it once and like they don't do it again. Like I totally understand that. So yeah, it's just crazy.
And it's
Oh,
interesting. You mentioned like the angel and the devil, and I don't
yeah.
compete, but I have a little bit of experience with, trying to do certain, challenges myself and things like that. And it's so funny because like whenever it's in your own head, it's the angel and the devil. But the
Yeah.
crazy part to me is that the devil can sometimes turn into the people that you're closest to. It's like your
Yes.
mom or your best friend or your sibling or your significant other is telling you it's okay, you can have like a little drink, you can have like a little bit of this,
Yeah.
birthday cake or whatever. And all of a sudden the angel or the devil starts to look like the angel, and it's so hard sometimes to really figure out which is which.
That's so true. I had a concert, I was going to like a DJ set. I had tickets purchased and everything, but I bought the tickets before I knew I was going to be in prep. So a girlfriend and I were going to go together. And as we got closer and I was already in prep, I was about, I don't know, maybe like 4 weeks out from my show, maybe a little bit more, 5 or 6 weeks out from my show. But I was already starting to feel it. And I was getting ready for bed around 8:30, in bed by 9, like trying to be asleep by 9. Really, that was my goal. So the idea of going and spending my whole entire night up all night into the next day dancing and being crazy, I was like, I can't do that. Like I can't, like I do not have the energy for it. So that was tough because I did have to cancel on her. And like I told her, I'm so sorry. I am not gonna be able to do that. I won't have the stamina for it. And she was all upset. Like, can't you just skip cardio that day kind of thing? And I was like, it's not like that. And yeah, so for sure, the angel, the devil, I wanted to go so bad, and I was like,
Yeah.
can't.
It's so challenging because it seems like a lot of times even it's coming from a supportive place. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
you've been working so hard, you deserve this, or it's
Have
okay if
fun.
you do that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's so hard because you know what really like the X's and O's are, what the plan is, but sometimes it can be very, very challenging, the distractions or the just whatever it really is within ourselves sometimes to just be like, okay, it's I've done, I think it comes down to like knowing when the right time is to celebrate, when the right time is to take it easy, and when the right time is to go hard. I think that's
Yeah.
so hard for a lot of people.
Oh my God, yes. I definitely like coming out of the whole thing, like I have learned so much about myself and like my discipline, really, like, wow, I can't even believe, certain things that I said no to that normally I'd be like, yeah, and once you have like that goal in mind and you have a date set that you're getting on stage in a bikini being judged on your physique, like once you have that all set in stone, I don't know, for me personally, I was like, there's no way I could mess this up. Like in my mind, just how I function, I was like, there's no freaking way. And I know like my family would get like a little upset at points because my sister's a phenomenal baker and she's like baking all this stuff. She's like, just taste it, just try it, just try it. I'm like, I can't. I can't. But yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Move Your Body Apparel, a Lexington-based, community-ran premium activewear brand that promotes the importance of daily movement. For the rest of the year, MYB is donating a percentage of every order to the Special Olympics of Kentucky. Save 20% off your first order with the link below or use code TWR20. Online at mybapparel.com. Ready to take your supplements to the next level? 2NS is here to help. 2NS strives to help you attain the highest degree of health and performance. Combining cutting-edge science and the best from nature, 2NS gives fitness enthusiasts and athletes the fuel they need. Check them out at secondnaturesupplements.com. That's 2ndnaturesupplements.com. This podcast is sponsored by Smoking Gun Coffee, a veteran-owned coffee company that strives to give back to those in need. Don't forget to use code TWR10 for a 10% discount at checkout.
You mentioned judging, getting judged. Was that ever a thought that crossed around like, oh my gosh, I'm kind of nervous about someone judging me?
100%. So when my coach was like, all right, like, do you want to pick a show? Like, if you're looking ready, like, do you think you're ready? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. I was thinking I was going to go into like an all natural show because I'm natural and I don't take any PEDs right now. So she was like, no, like we're putting you in an NPC show, and NPC is not drug tested. So, whatever, all bets are off. So I was like, am I really ready for that? Like, do I have a chance against these girls? Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of them were so much more muscular, so much more like, they're just still like much more developed, more muscle maturity. So yeah, I definitely at points, I was like looking at myself in the mirror, like, I'm small, like I only just started lifting last year. I was like, can I do this? Like, they're going to be looking at my body. But she just kept getting in my ear about, she's like, they're not necessarily looking for the most muscular person. It's an overall package. It's the whole look, it's not just like, okay, she has the biggest muscles, she wins, it's totally not like that. So once she just like drilled that point home for me, I was like, all right, you know what? As I got closer to the show, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm confident. I've come such a long way. Like, let's just go into this and have fun. I didn't overthink like the competitive side of it. I think that's probably why I did so well, because I really genuinely was back there just like so amped. I was so proud of myself for even like getting to that point and like committing, you know? And then, you know, winning was like just the cherry on top. But
Yeah.
yeah, sure, I got scared about being judged.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, because it's something that we, as a society, especially now, it's like so I feel like less just generally in general judgmental. It's like people, even when they're critiquing someone in a positive way, sometimes it can be seen as a negative, so
Mhm.
just going into a sport where that's like the thing, that's how you win or lose. I only
Right.
imagine it would be kind of like a little bit of a shock at first, like, oh wait, this is what it's supposed to be. This is what it's supposed to feel like. But even then it's just kind of like, whoa, it's weird. But um going through that first prep, and you kind of talked about, hey, you were looking at yourself thinking, hey, I'm not ready, and things like that. Did you kind of have any idea of what that mental state was going to be like of, being deep in a prep and a lot of times, even for people who have so much experience, it's still like they in subjectively they can't be, they can't look at themselves anymore. They can't see what's really there. Did you ever expect that it was going to get to that point for you?
Um, so I have battled like borderline eating disorder from a young age that includes body dysmorphia. So yes, that was definitely a thing. But as far as like going into it, like did I know how it was all gonna feel? Like, did I know what to expect? I went into it honestly completely blind. Like, I listened to podcasts and things like that from like other bikini competitors and whatever, because I wanted to have somewhat of a background of understanding. But I really truly went into it clueless. And even when I was on stage and I got like first call outs, I didn't even know what that meant. Like I kept looking at my coach in the crowd and she was just like doing one of these, because I genuinely, I was like, is this good? Is this good? In my head, I was like, I think this is good. I'm in the middle. Like I'm still here. Like I genuinely had no freaking clue. So it's been a very massive learning experience, all of it.
For sure. It definitely would be, there's really few sports like bodybuilding to where you can get into it and then like a year later or 2 years later, you're at the top of the sport. And then really the rule, it's funny because so many sports depend on like knowing the rules and knowing like the intricacies of it and things like that. But with bodybuilding, it's kind of a little bit different to where
Mhm.
you just have to like be really good at looking good and then like working hard and things like that. And you can get there and kind of let your coach really put you into that position and hey, this is when we do this. This is when you walk out. This is when, if they say this, do that. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of unique. I've never thought about it like that. It's a very unique position to be like, hey, I'm disciplined and I'm talented and things like that. So I'm I'm kind of like I'm really good at this, and it's kind of weird because I don't really know that much about it. I've never thought about it like that.
Yeah, I when I was younger, I did a lot of performing on stage. So the stage didn't scare me, that was not it. I actually used to absolutely hate being in a bathing suit because I was always very skinny, like my whole life, very, very thin, naturally very petite. So being in a bikini, even though I was thin, I wasn't overweight or anything, actually made me very insecure. So the fact that I did all of this, even my family, like everybody was just so shocked that I did that, like because it was the one thing I actually had been very insecure and afraid of forever, like for as long as I could remember. Um, but then I did it, But I think with the whole entire thing, like with competing as like bikini or whatever division you're in, you have to be coachable. Like you have to have like a student mentality, because and you have to have a really great coach that you trust, and you trust their instruction, because going into it, I literally like I needed my hand held like the entire time. Even now, still like with my coach, like I am like I remind her, I'm like I turned pro, but I am by no means like an expert at any of this. So like I really need my hand held still. Like I don't know. My main thing is like just remain coachable, trust that they know what they're doing so that they can properly answer your questions and whatnot, because it's such a learning experience. And even the girls who've been doing it forever, like I watch all these amazing, such influence, these women, they're so amazing. I watch a lot of them online, and even still, they're like, just because I've been doing this for X amount of years doesn't mean I'm not ever learning. Like it's a constant learning thing. It's wild.
Yeah, it is
So
interesting
wild.
because even when you think you kind of like have figured it out, your
Mhm.
body changes and you have to figure out how to do it a little bit differently. So it's always, like you said, a constant learning adventure. What do you feel like you've learned though between those first two shows, like the most drastic thing that you've learned?
Most drastic thing I've learned. The body is so resilient and malleable. It's really so and sensitive, like there are so many factors that can affect someone's physique that I could understand how it can be toxic in people's minds. It got there for me a little bit right when I came off of prep. It got a little toxic, seeing your body physically like growing and putting fat back on the mirror is such a trip. It's so absolutely terrifying. And the first time around, especially when you come from a history of like body dysmorphia, like I was kind of losing it. But I think like the biggest thing that I've learned from the two shows is like, holy crap, like my body is so capable of so many things. Like what's next? Like what else can this body do? So it's like fuel. It got me super amped to go into my improvement season and grow and really see how much muscle I can continue to put on.
Yeah. I think it is. It's really, that's one of the things I think about a lot is like how there's people who can like run a marathon in like 2 hours or whatever the record is. And there's people who can like lift 1,000 pounds and there's everybody
Yeah.
in between. I think it's just amazing what the human body is capable of. And, you know, it's really cool to me that it's capable of that. But at the same time, it's kind of sad to think like most people don't know what their own limits are. They don't know what they're physically capable of. And I think if we were better at pushing the point that that's actually an important thing to do, then I think we would be in a better place somehow. I mean, I think it ties back together, the mental, the physical, the emotional. I think it all ties together.
It all goes together, because if one thing is off, it's going to set everything else off. Like, for example, I was super anxious. The second show, which was just 2 weeks later, I was like considering pulling out of that show because I didn't feel like my body was ready. I didn't feel lean enough. I was also like premenstrual. So like that was, that was annoying to deal with. But yeah, like I almost pulled out of the show, and in my head I was all funky and I was like, I'm not ready, I don't look ready, I'm not lean enough. And I really wasn't. Like I was retaining water because my anxiety, my cortisol, was going up. And then once my coach was like, listen, if your mind is off, your body's going to be off. That's just how it works. Chemically things go on, inside of your body when you're upset, when you're anxious, there's chemical things that are going on that do affect your physique. So once I finally I woke up one morning during that peak week and I was just like, that's it. It's going to be what it's going to be. Whatever. The next day when I woke up, I was like 3.5 pounds lighter, like super lean. I had ab veins. I was like, let's go. Okay. We're getting ready. Once I cleared up the mental fog, my body responded like, oh, literally overnight. It was insane.
Yeah. I've heard that from multiple coaches who say,
Yeah.
their athletes are working hard, but sometimes working too hard. And they just say, hey, get some more sleep, take another hour or two tonight, get some sleep. And they wake up and they've, like you said, they've completely transformed. It's like, whoa, what the heck just happened? But
Yeah.
recovery is so important.
So important. Everything has to go together. It's all connected.
Yeah, 100%. What did you notice though between your first show and your second show, like the athletes, the difference between competing against those kind of different level athletes?
Huge difference. Scary difference. When I got to my NPC show, which was Patriots Challenge in Las Vegas, I was looking around, and I really, when I got there, I was like, don't look around. Don't even like look at anybody else's body. Just like stay in your lane, girl. Stay in your freaking lane. So of course, we're human. So I was looking around, and I was like, okay, okay. All right. I wasn't comparing myself. I was just like, all right, this isn't as scary as I thought it was, you know? But then when I got to NPC Universe, which was a national show, I was like, holy, like I was like, damn, like these girls are ripped. Like, holy crap. And at that point I was like, you know what? They either like me or they don't. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. Like, this is my first go. Like I made it even here. 2 weeks later, I was in Las Vegas. I was like, I'm having a great time. Like, life's good. So I just tried to let that positivity just kind of carry me through all of it. But yeah, there was a huge difference. And my coach, she's preparing me for the pro stage. She's like, you got a lot of growing to do, girl. Like, you got to catch up. Like, that stage is no freaking joke, from the muscles to the posing to the sass to the look to the hair to the makeup. Like, it's just so it's very competitive. That's just it. Once you're at that pro level, everyone's like, we're trying to go to the Olympia. You know what I'm saying? Like, everyone's like seriously in it as an athlete. So it switches. But I think what I have to my advantage is that I'm so new that it's probably always gonna be this, at least for the next few years, it's going to be this exciting, so new thing, that is just fun for me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel bad that I'm like, I don't know, that like I just like got my pro card as quickly as I did, because some people are working so long for it, and I was just like, I just kind of like swiped it. But I feel like there's got to be a reason, there's got to be a bigger purpose for that. I feel like I do have something to offer to the industry. So we'll see.
Yeah, and it's interesting to hear you say that, because I can't remember who I was talking to, but they were kind of talking about like getting on stage for the first time, and even a few times after, and it was like a little bit kind of of less pressure than most people would feel, because it is so new. It's like your expectations of what should happen and what you should be doing are kind of less, because you haven't built up what those expectations should be yet, and it's
Right.
kind of a more free experience.
Right, definitely. More free. Agreed. That's a good way to put it.
So you talked about moving forward into being a pro, but what do you think has to maybe not even change because you are so new, but what do you think has to be enhanced or improved to kind of make that next step?
This episode is brought to you by Move Your Body Apparel, a Lexington-based, community-ran premium activewear brand that promotes the importance of daily movement. For the rest of the year, MYB is donating a percentage of every order to the Special Olympics of Kentucky. Save 20% off your first order with the link below, or use code TWR20. Online at mybapparel.com.
So for me, my biggest things right now, because I have the confidence, and I have like the comfortability on stage, like that's not the issue. For me, it's really like getting better flexibility in my body for the posing, because the posing really is extremely tough. So for me, it's the posing, and I have to grow my muscles. So my intensity in the gym has turned up quite a bit. So my training's just gotten vicious. It's gotten vicious. I'm here for it because I love to lift and I love lifting heavy. So I'm really happy to be in the off season and I get to grow right now, and I love to eat. So that's good. But yeah, the main changes are just really, really dialing in on my posing and my flexibility and intensity at the gym.
Nice. Yeah, I think intensity is one of those things that it's so hard, especially for young lifters, to get that spot right. You don't want to go too hard. You don't want to go too easy. It's so easy to sometimes be like, oh, if I go super hard every single day, then I'm going to make the best, improvements. And a lot of times that's not true. You definitely have to be able to, hit that sweet spot and physically feeling that sweet spot. Even, I haven't been lifting forever, but for the last, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years, however long it's been, it's still sometimes challenging to know, is this the best spot? Is this the one that, is going to get me where I want to go? And also you have to also be kind of understanding that everything isn't going to always be perfect. Sometimes you might do a little bit too hard. Sometimes you might do a little bit too easy, but, be easy on yourself, do the best you can, and don't hang your head low whenever maybe something isn't just right. Because like you said, that as weird as it sounds, like that affects the workout, that affects the
Totally.
recovery, the hormones and everything that can happen because you're being hard on yourself. It's best, in my opinion, to just like do the best you can and put it all in there, but don't, don't necessarily worry about that. Do the best you can, but don't stress about it.
Yeah, don't hurt yourself. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, like you're doing something very physically taxing and stressful on the body. Like don't hurt yourself. Yeah, we need to rip and tear these muscles, but don't freaking hurt yourself. So like for example, my coach, like in my notes for my training, because she makes my training program and everything, and there's like little notes and things, whatever. Some of the notes, it says apply progressive overload, like try to increase your weights as much as you can, wherever you can each week. You have to keep trying to increase weight to grow your muscles. But also she says, like, don't increase the weight where it compensates your form. Like form is key. So even if you have to stay at, let's just say 30-pound shoulder press, if you have to stay there for like 2 to 3 weeks, just stay there and really focus on the form. Make sure your form is on point. And then from there, once your form is on point and you're moving that weight, then increase your weight when you have that solid form. So I'm good about that because I don't want to hurt myself. So, when I'm like, okay, crap, like this is too heavy, I'm like, all right, Serena, like I don't have like crazy ego at the gym, which I think is like, I see that a lot, people just hurting themselves. And I'm like, you're going to be sore in a really bad way.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And a lot of times you'll feel bad, or people will feel bad. I sometimes do feel bad if it's like I'm supposed to be moving up in weight and I attempt it and it's like, oh man, why haven't I been able to do that? I should be there. I should have done that weight today, and you have to move back down. It's like it can be deflating, but kind of like you said, don't have an ego. Just it's one workout. Come back, do the work, come back next time, and you'll probably be there. It's probably not actually your strength. It might have been your sleep. It might have been a thing in your life that caused a little stress. It's a million different factors that can influence a workout.
So many. Yeah. I was having issues because RDLs are hard for me for whatever reason. Like for me to get that sweet spot in the form, it's hard for me. I have to really, 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 really focus on RDLs. So last week I got frustrated because I was like, these hurt my low back. This isn't good. Like I need to step away from them for a minute. So like I stopped, and then, between over the days that, I wasn't training my lower body, I was online watching YouTube videos, like how to correct your form and this and that. And then when I came back, I was like, okay, we have these cues in our head. Like, let's try it again. We're going to get it this time. And I got it. So, you just have to be like humble about things, because just because you're lifting doesn't mean you're lifting properly. And just because you're an IFBB professional bodybuilder doesn't mean you're a professional bodybuilder. Do you know what I mean? So I'm humble in that sense, where I'm like, no, like you're still learning, and I'm constantly trying to perfect form, and I'm such a nut about it. So yeah, that's just be humble in the gym. People need to like chill.
It's funny that I never thought about it like that, but yeah, it would be interesting to get like a bunch of, IFBB pros together and just see
How
all
they
the
train.
different the different ways they train and the different ways they do a movement and the different, okay, this could be tweaked a little bit to enhance it, or this, this person does this maybe a little bit weird with their elbows. Like it would be interesting because and it's so cool nowadays, but back in the day, that's where we got, as gym goers, we went to the biggest person in the gym and we asked them the questions, and we watched their form, and now it's so much more resources, and that it's really cool to have kind of all the stuff that we do have.
There's so many resources, and there's so many different ways to do like the same motion. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you have to modify things for your body, like certain things, like, okay, my feet aren't straight forward. Maybe my feet are kind of turned out a little bit, or like for shoulder, anything like over my head, maybe my arms are a little bit forward. They're not so parallel straight back. You know what I mean? So there's definitely modifications. There's no one way. There's no one size fits all, but there is like proper and improper form. So there's like a fine line.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely a slippery slope to find that fine line and stick with, okay, this is right for me. but doing it like this is just wrong in general. Yeah, it's kind of a tough line to follow.
Oh my God.
But moving forward, what do you kind of projecting? And it's hard to project because you don't know what's going to happen in the future, the body, all the different things, the sport. But do you have like a timeline of what you want to kind of achieve in this sport in the next couple of years?
Well, yes. So I did really well this first time around, so I feel like my expectation for myself is very high for my pure debut. I really next year I want to do 3 shows. I really want to do 3 shows. I want to place top 5 at my first pro show. That's like my goal is like to place even like I don't know. I just want to place, for my first pro show. Um I want to place for that. I really, really, really want to qualify for the Olympia. I want to get points towards the Olympia. I don't know, like I want to go to the Olympia eventually within the next couple of years. That is on my radar. I feel like I'm more than capable. I'm willing to put in that work. This is my life. Like this is my baby. I am so obsessed with it that like I feel like it's not out of reach for me, even so early in my career. I feel like it's actually very in reach because there must be a reason why this happened so quickly for me. But yeah, next year, my goal for it next year, the more immediate goal is to do 3 shows, and to place top 5 would be just awesome. But
Yeah, that'd be, really cool. And I think just giving yourself that time to improve and to not just say, hey, next year we're going to the Olympia, or saying, I have to win this show and giving yourself the reasonable expectations and setting high goals, but also being somewhat, even reasonable. I hate the word reasonable, but somewhat reasonable, I think it's important.
yeah, like I don't think I'm going to the Olympia next year. I just want to work towards it. I want to hopefully for the following year or whatever. I just want to place as a pro in my early pro career. That'd just be so freaking cool. I'd be like, that would just be awesome.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, best of luck to you though. It seems like you have, like you said, it seems like you're here for a reason. It seems like there's a bigger picture yet to be seen, and I think it's going to be really cool. And bodybuilding is a world to where so many doors can be opened just from doing it. And so, who knows, maybe it's not the Olympia, but it's this other thing and it's actually better and it's actually, better fit for you. And so I think just doing something and committing to something and in that in and of itself is really what the ride of life is all about.
Absolutely. Amen to that. And even if I don't go to the Olympia, I will still be happy and I will still do this. So it's a win-win either way. That's how I
100%.
genuinely feel.
I completely agree. And I appreciate you coming on. It was really cool getting to talk to you. I really, enjoyed the conversation. I look forward to putting it out there. So, if you want to, if you want to share your social medias before you head out here, that'd be cool.
Oh yeah. So my Instagram is Serena Loren Physique.
I'll put that information down in the description. Give her a follow. You got some good information, good content. And, just like I said, I look
And
forward to
make
putting
sure
this episode out there.